What were you doing in regards to, there was something you were talking about in regards to the combination of the IGF-1 drugs or IGF and the GLPs together?
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen in a cash pay practice is there are other peptides and there's synergistic effects, right? And so the GLP-1s, when microdosed, can be extremely beneficial in reducing body fat without impacting lean muscle mass or bone mineral density, right? And one of the reasons that people begin to lose lean muscle mass is they have a hard time eating enough protein because their appetite is crashed. And a lot of the times that's because the commercially available dosage of a GLP-1 is just too much for them. And so in our practice, at the Waist Well practice, the vision is more, you can always go up. You should start slow, methodically work that patient up to a dosage that begins to slightly suppress their appetite. But then there's a synergistic effect of adding something like an IGF LR3, which is going to be on board to help improve lean muscle mass, help boost metabolism.
It boosts your appetite too, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And it causes an increase in your hunger. And so it gives us this hybrid. And what we've seen is a microdose of a GLP-1 combined with an IGF, or even in male patients with testosterone. Like a lot of men, you're going to increase protein synthesis. And so now you're absorbing more of the protein, even if you're not eating as much of the protein. So testosterone has a direct correlation to protein synthesis.
So you have to eat more.
Well, you don't even, yes, the goal is to maintain protein while cutting out all the stuff like the Cokes and the sugars and all that. And where I do see a huge benefit with these GLP-1s is it does reduce dopamine response. And so a patient who was getting that dopamine signal from drinking a Coke is going to drink that Coke and not really get that. But the problem with that is too, those patients that are on too high of a dose of a GLP-1 lose so much appetite, they have a hard time eating that steak or eating that chicken or eating that protein source. And it's crucial to preserve lean muscle mass because body composition, I don't know if you know who Gabrielle Lyons is. She's brilliant. One of the things Gabrielle Lyons talks about is we're not only overweight, we're under-muscled. And so part of our issue as Americans is we're not consuming enough protein per day to maintain lean muscle mass. And so think of it like a furnace. If I add muscle, every pound of muscle I add to your frame is me throwing another log on the fire. It's another log on the metabolic fire that raises your state of thermogenesis and raises your metabolic rate, which means you can eat more calories. And so many women especially are focused on just losing fat that they forget there's just as much benefit, if not more benefit, in gaining muscle. And so you and I talked before this about my friend Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
Like, so many people think that Jelly Roll is on a GLP-1 and
It's because people have just become used to it now.
I know.
So many people are on GLP-1s. Like I was telling you, I was like, anyone I see who like loses a lot of fat quick, my bullshit detectors go up. Like, is that motherfucker on GLP-1s?
Yeah, I can tell you 100%. And I even said this to Men's Health magazine in the interview they did about his weight transformation. I said, if there's one fucking person in the world that has a lot to gain about saying GLP-1s and he did a GLP-1, we compound GLP-1s. I own a pharmacy that makes GLP-1s. I own a clinic that utilizes and prescribes GLP-1s when appropriate. Even with all that, I tell people you don't need a GLP-1. It's a tool in the tool belt. It doesn't mean that it's the only tool in the tool belt.
Right.
And oftentimes there are other things we can do to optimize your health, like putting on lean muscle mass, increasing metabolic rate, helping you feel energized and ready, reducing estrogen levels, reducing inflammation, reducing water retention, upping your energy level. And all of that comes back to you can't do that if you don't look under the hood. If you don't do comprehensive blood work and you go into a primary care and they don't run your blood work or ask you if you're willing to do a DEXA, don't do a GLP-1.
Right.
If they don't talk to you about diet, lifestyle, and nutrition, do not take a GLP-1 from that doctor. I'm just telling you, like taking a GLP-1 without talking about diet, lifestyle, nutrition is like brushing your teeth while eating fucking Oreos. It makes no fucking sense, man. You're going to have to refine your diet. Even on a GLP-1, if you don't, you're literally chemically anorexic. You're just creating chemical anorexia. It's a chemical straitjacket where you're not hungry. It doesn't mean that the molecule is bad. It means that the person advising you on the molecule is incompetent. And there are unfortunately a lot of doctors in this country that are reaching for a GLP-1 before they've ever asked the question, before they've ever got to know you as a patient, before they've ever uncovered the root cause, before they ever dove into you at the biological level. There is no value in that. And so when Jay came into us, the first thing we did was, let's do a DEXA. Let's look at where you're at. Let's look at your body fat.
Who?
Let's
Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get through all of these diagnostic tools. Let's do a full blood work. Let's look at you. And he broke this down on Joe, so I'm not sharing anything HIPAA. And he's also given me permission to talk about it in the public setting. But the first thing my clinician told him is, we've got to get your testosterone up. We've got to get your estrogen down. And we've got to reduce your inflammation. And we've got to get your insulin under control. If we do those things, we never have to reach for a GLP-1. We can do all of those things, and we can help you with diet, lifestyle, nutrition. We can get strategic, and you need to exercise, and you need to be in motion. And he was already doing the exercise and the diet, and all we did was try and optimize the hormones, optimize the overall biomarkers, and put him in a position of homeostasis where the weight would fall off. And Jelly did the rest. The guy worked his ass off. He got up every day. He started walking. I think I told you the story before. He said he had lied to himself and his family time and time again and said, tomorrow I'm going to start. Tomorrow I'm going to start. Tomorrow I'm going to start. And after he came in, he gets back home to Nashville and he says, tomorrow I'm going to start. And he wakes up and it's pouring fucking rain. And he told the story. He said, I sat there and I thought, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do it today. And he walked, I think he said 3 miles in the fucking pouring rain. And when he gets back up the steps and he comes up this long hill to get back into his house, his wife and his daughter were there cheering him on. And he just got in there and started crying. Wow. Because he finally stopped lying to himself and lying to them. And he became a man of his word again. And he never looked back. Wow. And it's like, a drug is not going to do that, man. Everything starts with you. Everything. And I don't want to sell somebody a medicine or a drug. I want to sell you long-term solutions that help you drive your health span. And that's going to come from diet, lifestyle, nutrition, and from you having honesty and integrity with yourself on where you are and how you get there. And it's not at the bottom of a pill bottle.
Right.
It's not. Like, that's just one tool in the tool belt.
Yeah, man, that's powerful hearing stories like that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that is really awesome. And, also some people that I've seen that do start with the GLP-1s, that can also be like a catalyst for them to get motivated about everything else. Like once they start to see some sort of physical change happen in the mirror or like the needles moving in the right direction, now that can like be a catalyst to push them off the cliff to like go get in the gym, to change their diet.
100%.
And to, that can be the cascading effect.
I've said this, I am not anti-GLP-1. Like, I have seen it change people's lives. I had a friend's wife who said, Brigham, for the first time, I work at a hospital, for the first time when everyone's in the lounge eating cookies or a cake or it's somebody's birthday, I have enough self-control to walk by it and go, yeah, I don't want that. And that little win leads to other little wins. And then you wake up one day. I lived it. I fucking lived that. I was 25% body fat on the cusp of diabetes. And when I finally got my hormones right, weight started coming off. And I was like, oh my God, dude, I may actually be able to be in shape. Like, I never thought, I didn't think that was even possible. And I tell so many people this. My goal and our goal at Ways to Well is not to be a dictator and dictate to you, take this, do that. No, it's to give you the pros and the cons and to give you the right information to guide you and allow you to take sovereignty and autonomy over your health. And how you do that is you educate a patient, you empower a patient, and you get the fuck out of their way. You don't dictate to a patient, you're not taking this or you're not, no. When somebody comes in and says, I want a GLP-1, I'm not here to tell you no. I'm here to give you the answers as to the pros and cons.
Right.
If you're a 105-pound girl trying to lose weight for spring break, that is not the molecule you should be reaching for, right? But if you're a 500-pound guy who's been overweight your whole life, you shouldn't be scared of a GLP-1. I'm not saying it's your only solution. I'm not saying it's the only way out of where you're at. but it's a viable tool and you
Right.
shouldn't be scared of it if utilized appropriately. But understand, you're still going to have to do the diet, the lifestyle, and the nutrition.
You just got to show them the light. Just give them a little glimmer of light, and they're going to want to go get more sunshine.
Yeah.
You know, and once you see how you feel when you can actually get there, it's like, it can be astonishing, the difference.
If you see all the comedians at Rogan's Club and the transformations of all these comedians, like all these comedians
because he gets them all ways to well, right?
Well, they've all like dialed in their nutrition. They all work out now. And these guys that used to be drinking and partying and putting on weight are now in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and they're waking up and training, and they
Turning it
realize
around.
their mental acuity is better, their data, their recall, their ability to communicate, their ability to hit that punchline. They're sharper, they're clearer. It's a cascade effect. Wins create wins, and momentum creates momentum. And our goal is to create a fucking avalanche.
Yeah.
Like create an avalanche of wins. And it's possible for anyone. The first thing you do when you find yourself in a hole is stop fucking digging.
Right.
And then let's dig you out of there and let's put wins on the board.
If you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, I encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon exclusive episodes as well as live Q&As, and you can get your personal questions answered by our guests every single week. For me, being able to collaborate and communicate back and forth with our Patreon community every week has been huge, and this is my way of saying thank you for the cost of a cup of coffee a month. Now back to the show.